unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
What's the point? Says Derrick James. Frank Martin, Errol Spence, Jermell Charlo trainer Derrick James wonders what's the point between a potential fight between his fighter Frank Martin and Keyshawn Davis. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, Derrick James, he spoke up. There's been some chatter and commotion about a potential fight between his fighter Frank Martin and Olympian Keyshawn Davis. The two have even kind of exchanged pleasantries and words on social media. So the fans is gaslighting it. Derrick James kind of pumped the brakes on that fight and did an interview with ES News. This is what he said, the direct quote, "What's the point of the fight, even for him? Why would Top Rank do that when they're trying to build him up? Say he loses the fight, Keyshawn Davis. He's done. They don't want to deal with him anymore. They're going to let him go and they're going to cut him because they did something that you wanted. The promoters have a plan. The promoters are there to build you, develop you, get the right opponents. That's not the right opponent, no matter how bad he wants it. There's no benefit to anybody. Who's going to pay for it?" End quote from Derrick James. And I'm glad Derrick James said this. I agree 1000%. And if you notice on my channel, you don't see me talking about the whatever they call the Fabulous Four, the Four Horsemen, whatever, like Shakur, Gervonta, and all these fighters that have inherent different promotional entities that they're signed to, and people keep like capitulating them and like playing matchmaker online, and it really gets us nowhere. So you don't really see from me overly talking about that, because we have yet to see a major fight between PBC and Top Rank. So until I see that in recent times, and I don't even count the Wilder versus Fury fight, here's why. Because Wilder and Fury had established a fight independent of Fury signing up with Top Rank and ESPN. So there was already history and a draw that took place before ESPN had ever been involved. So I see Derrick James as being right, and this is more so what I've said in the past. I've always kept it consistent. You got to understand, boxing is a business. Now, what I'm saying, what Derrick James is saying, it may not be what boxing fans want to hear, but I don't really care, because I'm a realist and I'm a realistic person. You know, it's like your parents. Your parents may tell you something about yourself that's absolutely true. Your parents could say, "Oh, you're lazy, you're not consistent, you don't stick with anything." And that could be the absolutely, the truth for your situation. Even if you don't want to hear it, that don't change the fact that it's the truth. And on my channel, that's what I strive for. I don't care who wants to hear what. I don't care if you like me and all that other stuff. The bottom line is boxing is a business. And the reason why I'm stressing that element of it, because if the business of boxing doesn't get its way and make sense, then you won't get whatever you're talking about, right? So it has to not only be something that hardcore boxing fans want, it has to be something that the networks want, both promoters want, the fighters want. So there's a lot of boxes that need to be ticked off for some of these fights to happen. And Derrick James is right. Who's going to pay for it? You got to understand, and I've said this for years, I'm the best in the business. You got boxing hardcore fans that live in this little tiny bubble, and all they know is what they know and their enjoyment. What do I mean? So they're living in this like little tiny porcelain house, and they think the whole world of boxing, thinks, or not just the world of boxing, the world at large thinks how they think. For example, I remember there were people who were saying that Gervonta Davis, when he was fighting Leo Santa Cruz, there were people saying that Gervonta Davis, in my comment section, they were saying Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz is a smaller fight than Devin Haney versus he was beefing with Gary Russell Jr. at the time. So these two ideas were going on concurrently. And I did a watch party for the actual fight, Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. And if you go back and look at it, went viral. It did great viewership on my channel. I made a lot of money. Meanwhile, the Devin Haney, Gary Russell never actually amounted to a fight in general. So again, that was another example. You didn't see me wasting too much time going back and forth because it was looking like, Gary Russell was saying this about the contract. Bill Haney was saying this, Devin Haney was. So it didn't really look like it was growing legs. And fast forward years later to this day, we still haven't seen that fight. So for a multitude of reasons, like one's a fantasy fight that never happened and another fight is something that happened. So either way you slice it, the people who are leaving those comments saying that Devin Haney and Gary Russell is bigger than Tank Davis, any way you slice it, it's incorrect information. Because if the fight doesn't happen, you have a fight that does zero because it didn't happen. And you have whatever Tank and Leo Santa Cruz gross on pay-per-view, live gate, etc. And Tank's doing well for himself in that regard. So that's just one example in the last few years that I can think of where this was the case. But beyond that, I don't agree with that. I never agreed with that statement. I never thought that Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz was a smaller fight than Devin Haney and Gary Russell. Listen, I would have loved to see Gary Russell and Devin Haney fight. But at the end of the day, it didn't happen. And even if it did happen, I don't know if that's the fight that people were making it out to be in terms of commercial blockbuster sale. Fast forward to the future several years, Devin Haney's undisputed and he's fighting Loma, and this is his first pay-per-view. Meanwhile, Tank has fought consistently on pay-per-view since the Leo Santa Cruz fight. So again, whether you guys like these things or not, these things are the truth. And Tank Davis is the money man, the cash cow in that division. That's just the reality of it. He's the cash cow of the division. So as far as like Teofimo or Shakur or Keyshawn, those fights aren't likely to happen unless it was on Tank's watch. And Ryan Garcia, the reason that fight with Tank happened cross-promotionally is because Ryan has done a great job selling himself and branding himself as well. So it became an adequate dance partner that was outside of the in-house fights that they could make. This is kind of the same formula that DJ is talking about. Keyshawn Davis, Frank Martin, it's an amazing fight. People are going to say Keyshawn wins. People say Frank Martin will win. It's definitely something to talk about. It would be a great fight if they fought. But the reality is it's not, like, people don't even know Keyshawn Davis hasn't even fought a Pitbull Cruz level type of person. And you think that's going to be something that's on pay-per-view? Boxing fans, they got to get their heads out of their butts because it's not realistic. Keyshawn, to this point, he's not even really main eventing. I can't say the same for Frank Martin because Frank Martin kind of had the coming of age fight with Michelle Rivera. That was a 50-50 fight on paper, and that just happened last December. So neither guy has been on pay-per-view, but at least Frank Martin has had main events at this point, right? Keyshawn Davis, I don't think he's had too many main events. They're still putting him as Lil Bro on like Shakur Stevenson undercards and stuff like that. So when you pit them against each other, what I'm saying and what Derrick James is saying is absolutely true. Who's going to pay for it? Boxing, I've said this for years as well. There's only a select few boxing fans that are hardcore, pay for everything. That number is not as great as you may think. It's probably like 250 to 350,000 hardcore boxing fans in America watch everything, pay for everything, etc. So no matter how great the fight is between Keyshawn and Frank Martin, it's really not noteworthy or worth talking about if it doesn't happen, right? And for it to happen, it requires a level of interest and power. You guys don't get it by now, what I've been saying? Like Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. A reason that happens is Mikey was basically a free agent, had been working with Al Heyman, but he wasn't actually signed to PBC, but he represented good business, and they sold out AT&T Stadium. I know because I was there. AT&T Stadium had 50,000 people there for that fight. If Keyshawn and Frank Martin fought in Texas at the AT&T Stadium, could they generate those types of numbers? You know, if they fought in Vegas, could they generate 16,000, people going out to see it? And even if they did, at what ticket price, right? If they put it on pay-per-view, which is oftentimes what you have to do if you have to pay 2 stars a big purse, how many pay-per-views do you think that fight's gonna do? Like, you gotta really honestly ask yourself that question. How many pay-per-views would that fight do here and now, right now? And tell me that it's justifiable for the networks to work with each other. You gotta understand there's only a handful of fights that have ever been done collectively with 2 different major powerhouse networks like Showtime, ESPN, Showtime, HBO. And that's usually reserved for fights that are gonna give you some crazy live gate, like Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, like Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, like Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, or UFC working with Mayweather Promotions and Showtime for Mayweather McGregor. Those are colossal live gates, top 10 live gates, Keyshawn and Frank Martin wouldn't be no top 10 Las Vegas gate. And that's what I think people are failing to realize. They get mad at what I say because they don't want to hear the truth. That's cool. Unsubscribe to my channel. Don't watch me. You don't ever have to watch me again. It don't matter. It doesn't change. I know what I know, and I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this business. You dig? Now, the other thing is this. I never get in the way of fights. If somehow the 2 entities wanted to work with each other and the network seemed fit, then I would never stand in the way of the fight. I'll tell you, like I said throughout this video, Frank Martin versus Keyshawn Davis is a great fight. It'd be a great fight to watch in terms of skill versus skill, guy versus guy. But like Derrick James was saying, it really doesn't represent the type of business that would even make sense for the networks to work with each other. And you got to look at it. Throughout boxing history, the in-house fight has always been easier to make. Top Rank, how come they haven't matched a lot of their guys with PBC guys? Like, you never see Shakur fighting Pitbull Cruz. And I'm not saying that Shakur doesn't want to fight Pitbull Cruz, but I'm saying, look at the Shakur Stevenson, look at all of his last fights. There've been people who have been accessible, readily accessible with smaller promoters or Japanese promoters or promoters from another country, African promoters working with Top Rank. It hasn't been something like a star that's being built with PBC fighting Keyshawn or Shakur, vice versa, except for, like I said, Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I wanted to make this video to clear up some of the things regarding the business because some people don't get it. They have a palate and an appetite for what they want to see, but you got to understand, you're not going to get the fight that you want unless it, and even then you still may not get it because there's fights like Mikey Garcia versus Vasyl Lomachenko at lightweight. At the time, that made a lot of sense. It was a unification. Both guys had profiles and both guys had been branded. So I think that was a fight that you could have made make sense. And even that didn't happen, even though Mikey Garcia used to work with Top Rank and was a free agent. So you got to understand it's politics as usual. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with a $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy.
I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.